Hey, what is up, everybody? Steven here, the Horror Freak 85. Welcome to the House of Horrors Live. Tonight we are joined by director and writer Tom Mcloughlin. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, hi.
Go ahead, take your drink. It's cool.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
How you guys doing?
Great. I'm having a good weekend. I'm not in my normal setting. I'm in the hotel room here. Came up to do the show, so just been.
Where are you? Where's Whorehound?
It's in Cincinnati this time.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, I was telling her I had some friends. This was totally last minute. I got some press passes, and they emailed me like 4 days prior, 5 days. I'm like, how am I going to make that? And I didn't think I was going to. Turns out some friends were vacationing in Kentucky, about an hour or so away. They got some Amish relatives, and so I was living the Amish life for a couple of days. So that was it was fun. So yeah, great cooks too. Oh, it was fun. So I actually enjoyed it, seeing that little other side there. Yeah. And so they like conventions. We drove over. Long story short. So, but yeah, so I made it to the convention. So,
and any of the other Friday the 13th alumni out there?
Yes. And now, of course, my brain. Macy, or the woman who played Macy, is here. Tom is here. Or no, he did Michael Myers. Was he in Friday? No, he did Michael Myers. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think there was someone else I can't think of offhand. I have to check. I'm sorry, but
Tom Matthews. When you say Tom Matthews or Tom Fridley?
No, more. It's from Halloween. Tom Moore. Not Moore. The other one. Wow, I feel really bad now with forgetting his name.
Well, while he's figuring out, Space
go ahead.
Ace says Jason Lives as one of my girlfriend and I's favorite Friday the 13th films.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I just got done watching the director's cut because I've seen that movie so many times, and I happen to be lucky enough to have the DVD with the director's cut. So I was like, I want to watch the director's cut before this.
I think it's pretty much a lot of people's favorite, definitely.
Well, there's not. Yeah, the director's cut isn't much of a director's cut. Unfortunately,
or commentary, I guess I should say.
Oh, the commentary.
Yeah, the commentary. I don't know why. I always call it director's cut. I don't know why. Yeah. I called it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I was fortunate. The movie is pretty much the movie I wanted to do, other than the MPA. Now I'm doing it. MPAA basically cut down some of the kills. I mean, they left the kill in, but they like kept making me chop little frames here and there, so it was a little less offensive in their way of thinking. But basically, everything else is pretty much intact.
Yeah. Now, like how you say you was wanting to bring Jason's dad into it, that would have been great to have.
Yeah, but that left before I even shot. That was something that was in the original script that I turned in, but then ultimately it was something that, and I agreed with Frank Mancuso Jr. about this, is that the people were really upset at part 5 because it ended with what looked like Tommy Jarvis was going to be the next Jason. And it wasn't actually Jason that was doing the killing in the movie. So they wanted to make sure nobody had any inkling that at the end of part 6, that the next movie was going to be meet Jason's dad. I mean, it's like, no, it's like Jason's back, the man behind the mask is back. And, that's the note, they wanted to go out on, not introducing, another possible character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know there have been rumors a few times about bringing Jason's dad into the mix and other, throughout the timeline, but they just never have done it.
Well, that's technically not true. In the wonderful world of fan films, Vengeance.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Yeah, you should see Vengeance. Well, a lot of them are really good. Never Hike Alone.
Those I've heard they're really good. I've just never gotten around to watching them.
But Vengeance, the guys who put together Vengeance contacted me and they said, look, we would love to do what you didn't get a chance to do, which is Jason's father and Jason in the same movie. And I said, hey, if you got a good take on it, go for it, because I didn't get to do it. And I certainly have no problem if you guys want to run with the ball. And they said, well, not only that, but C.J. Graham, who played your Jason, is going to play the father. And I went, that's great. And they said, well, would you be interested in playing the old caretaker and being the first scene with Jason? I mean, with Jason's father. And I said, send me a plane ticket. I'm there. So I did like a cameo at the very beginning of the first Vengeance movie. Now they've done a second one, a sequel to that, and I've got quite a few scenes in this one with C.J. Graham and Jason, and also Darcy DeMoss, who was in mine. Played Nikki. She has returned. She wasn't killed in mine, according to what their mythology is. And there's a couple of other surprises that occur along the way. So, for fans who love the fan films, they obviously have very little money, but they have a lot of passion. There's some cool things in these things that they
usually independent or fan films are usually really good for, they try to make it as best they can and with what they got, and they usually do a really good job.
I was really impressed with Never Hike Alone, what they did with that.
Vincent's very gifted as a filmmaker, and he's so knowledgeable as a fan of the series. I mean, it's like, my God, he knows everything about everybody, so he was a good person to kind of be the first one out the gate to do something like this.
Nice. I'll have to look those up. I don't know why I've never gotten around to watch them, but I have heard good things about them.
Yeah, well, the good news is they're free. You can see them on YouTube, and nobody can make any money on these things. If they do, once the settlement gets settled, they can get shut down or sued for making money off of the name Friday the 13th or Jason. But right now, it's a free for all because nobody owns the Friday the 13th title nor the Jason Voorhees. So until that time, they're free to do things. And they always put a disclaimer, that this has nothing to do with Paramount or New Line or Warner Brothers. And this is just fans supporting other fans to make this, so that kind of keeps them in the clear. And as long as I said they're not making money, there's no reason to sue because there's no money there to get.
Right.
Yeah, Spaced Out Ace says, Friday 4 leaves people believing that Tommy is going to be Jason, in quotes, and they red herring Tommy as Jason in 5.
Yeah.
In the commentary, you said that you still own the tombstone in the movie was in your backyard. Do you still have that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see it right from my vantage point right here. I turn the laptop around, and you can see it sitting there. And literally directly below me in the basement is Jason's coffin.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Both are there. I used to drag them out at Halloween, but the tombstone, I mean, it takes 3 people to pick this thing up. I mean, it is a real tombstone. It was cheaper to have a real one made in Georgia where we shot than it was to have make one made out of foam and sent from Hollywood. So we got the real deal. The same thing with the coffin. It's a real coffin, and it's all made to look, muddy and stuff like it's been, down there for a while. So it's my 2 fave souvenirs from the movie.
Yeah, and my husband heard you say that in the commentary before he ended up leaving, and he goes, "That sounds like you." Do you still have that Jason thing you got at the Halloween store? It was like a really tall, like Jason figurine. You say you got.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It sounded amazing.
Another thing that if you open my basement door to go downstairs, the second you open the door, he comes to life down there, along with the sound, and his machete goes up and down. So I've certainly scared the shit out of quite a few people.
I'd love to have that during Halloween. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, turn your basement into a little haunted house.
Yeah, it's like I can't get away from all this stuff that I loved as a kid. That as I got older in life, it's like, okay, I'm gonna buy the Jack Skeleton, and I'm gonna buy the Jack in the Box, the huge Jack in the Box thing that's a clown that's really kind of like Killer Clowns, and put stuff out in the yard so that it becomes like the cool Halloween house, because I've always loved that when I was a kid. It was always like these 1 or 2 houses that always kind of went for it. As a kid, you always wanted to go there, see what they're going to do this year.
Yeah, I'll do the year before. I was going to say it's Tom Morga who was here.
Oh, okay.
And then let's see, who else was here? Some bunch of Nightmare on Elm Street, Fear Street. Janine Taylor. Lauren Marie Taylor. Oh, Deborah Voorhees, she's here too.
Oh, great! Wow.
So, yep.
Yeah, always been a fan of hers.
So, yeah, there was actually a question here. Where was it? I'll just get to that later. Someone said about the different. For the sequel, did you think that Friday the 13th would go as far as they did for you to continue the story?
No, nobody did. The strange thing, guys, is like in the 80s, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. We didn't know what the hell we wanted to make movies, but we wanted to make movies like in the 70s. And the stuff that we were getting was sort of like, yeah, but that's not cool, like Star Wars and Rocky and Godfather and, Exorcist and stuff. Once the slasher franchise started with Halloween, everything was about, making those kinds of movies. And then it was like, okay, we had Michael Myers, then of course we had Jason, and we had Freddy, and then we had Chucky, and then we had Pinhead, and, on and on. And again, these were like, okay, they're cool. People went and saw them. A lot of them really weren't big hits in the theater until they took off on VHS. Then people started coming, like Nightmare 4. That was the one that really started to, really go. The earlier ones, they weren't as big as, they obviously became. And the audience for Friday was building very rapidly. Part of the reason too, there wasn't that many Halloweens being done. And then they got to part 4 and said, okay, that's it. We've milked all the juice out of this. But part 4 did so well. It's like, okay, a new beginning. So it started the process all over again. So by the time, they got to 6, with me, I went, I can't take this stuff seriously. I got to have fun with it. I'm still going to make him scary, but I want to sort of satire the whole genre at that point, which was like the mid 80s, the end of 85 that we were doing it, putting it together at least, and came out in 86. But I thought, as we all did at that time, is these movies would open and maybe they'd go a second week and then kind of go off to the suburbs and disappear into nowhere, and then somehow end up on, VHS, or in those days there was also Beta. But that was like sort of like a secondary market. No one knew that the, Blockbuster and all those things were going to become our church. And we were going to be there every weekend and, renting things and stuff. So it really exploded. And these horror icons that we love, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, all that. Now the 80s provided each audience, and still today, or at least in my case, 35 years later, Jason's bigger than he's ever been. And we had not a clue. I mean, it's such a incredible blessing that it happened. I mean, I love when people come up and it's like, I just saw it. I just saw the movie. People have been telling me about it for years. And they're as excited as the people that saw it in the audience and the theaters the first time, that first audience, which is just incredible, to have something like that occur, in your career.
Mm-hmm. And that was from Ron right here in Cincinnati. I just wanted to mention that too, who submitted that question. So I'm sure he'll be watching soon. So I wanted to thank him for that. And thank you for answering.
Sure.
Then we got, what was your favorite kill that you created? And that's from Zach and Mcloughlin. I hope I said that right.
Zach and Eileen?
Mcloughlin, M-I-L-A-N. Mcloughlin. That's how we say it. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, guys, this will sound sort of sick, but it's like, who's your favorite kid out of all the kids that you had? It's like, well, I originally had 13 in that movie, and then it moved up to 16, 13, 14, 15, 16 total. The ones towards the end that we picked up, because Frank wanted 3 more kills after the 13 that I, did, to me were not as good as some of the ones that I had spent a little more time, thinking about and wanted to come up with something different. But as far as which is my favorite one, I guess the one, I'm a horror when it comes to, what does the customer want? I can do it this way, I can do it that way. What do you want? How much are you going to pay? But it's actually the simplest one, which has no blood in it, which was actually a gag that I took from a skit that I wrote years ago for Dick Van Dyke, is the bending the sheriff backwards.
Yeah.
When that happened in a theater, people were just like, oh, and they got more upset about that than they did about, most kills in the Fridays. And I guess it was because they could somehow feel the pain of what that must be like. I don't know, but that to me ended up being kind of my favorite because, again, it was so simple how we executed it with two different people, somebody, playing his legs and somebody doing, him doing himself, and then, bending him back, and then adding the sound effect. And the MPAA also targeted that more times than any of the other kills. Take a few more frames off of it. Take a few, they found it way too intense. And I guess, anything that pisses off the adults, we like, right?
Exactly. Jeremy wanted to know, besides yourself, about how many people were involved. Was it a huge casting crew behind the scenes, or smaller?
Yeah, it wasn't small. I mean, compared to some small independent films now. I would say there probably was about 30 of us, I guess, maybe somewhere in that vicinity. So yeah, we had, all kind of the key, DP and camera operator and camera assistant and, all that, and gaffer and best boy and grips and all that. And then the one thing that was a little additional is that we were lighting with these huge carbon arc lights, which they don't use anymore, but they're incredibly bright. And you have to, it's basically kind of putting, this carbon arc, that's burning. So you have to have people keep bringing the arc together so it keeps creating this spark that lights up like you can't believe. And we have people way up high in front of the trees lighting down for our moonlight. So we had extra guys that just had to stay up there all night and keep adjusting the light so it stayed, the same consistency through the shots. So that added a few more people than what you would, normally have on something like this, where you just set up stands or shoot daytime and make it look like night. But in general, it was a, pretty condensed group of crew. And then the cast, well, you see, it's not a huge amount of people. Kind of where we brought in extras was having the kids, to have all those additional kids, which I really wanted to have. And I was fortunate that it worked out that we could, actually have kids, performing in that at night. And their parents were like, yeah, we love this, because the parents were all Friday the 13th or horror fans. So yeah, they were thrilled to be there.
And was there anything? Okay. So, this is from Addison in Michigan. I guess there was a rumor or something you had pitched an idea about Cheech and Chong maybe being a part of it, kind of like an Abbott Costello type deal. Was wondering if you had written anything to it, or it was just a pitch.
It literally was a. It was one of those things where when the movie was finished and they saw what kind of reaction it got, Frank came to me and he said, "Look, how do you feel about doing, part 7?" And I went, "I don't have any idea of what to do with that." I said, I guess we could explore Jason's father. And you sort of like, yeah, maybe some of it, but it's really got to be about Jason. I go, no, I get that. Well, let me think about it. And he said, well, let me ask you this. What do you think about Jason meets Freddy? I went, that could be cool. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, because this was before we were having all these, monsters fighting each other, except going back to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. And, well, I take that back. The Japanese were doing it with the, King Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah.
For kind of the traditional American monsters. I don't think that there was that sort of pairing off. But, Freddy was with New Line Pictures, and obviously Jason's with Paramount. So I didn't know how these two big, studios would come to terms. And Frank says, well, I'm gonna work on this and get back to you in about a week. And he came back in a week and he said, nope, they won't do it. And we don't like their terms of what they want to do. So any other ideas? And literally just crazy off the top of my head, I went, well, you guys have Cheech and Chong, right? And he goes, yeah, so. And I said, well, what about Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, Cheech and Chong meet Jason? And, he laughed and, and he said, you're kidding. And I said, it's half kidding. I mean, I said, I somehow could just see them like as camp counselors, or they're camping and say, hey, Vato, Jason's out here. No, there's no Jason, man. Yeah, man, he killed you. And just have that, as part of the thing. Of course, Jason's not going to get to them, or if he does, how do they deal with it? And Frank said, I don't think it's the same audience. And I said, I don't know. I think everybody smokes the same weed when they go to see a horror movie or a movie. I think, and he goes, well, horror people might be upset about the comedy, and the comedy people might be upset about the horror. And I go, I don't know. I somehow think this could work. It was too early in the whole cycle of doing this stuff. So yeah, obviously it was a path.
I think horror comedy is probably a little bit more popular now. I don't know if Cheech and Chong might be too old for it now, but it might be more of a time period where that would be a better received movie, maybe. I don't know. I've always been a horror comedy fan, so I see more of it now than like when I was younger. So I don't know. That's just my perspective, though.
Well, a lot of interesting things had happened after I had done Friday, because I was really scared that the fans were going to not like the comedy aspect that I put into the Friday. And I tried to do it in such a way where I'm sort of winking at the audience, like with the James Bond thing, going, all right, this is cool, but it's sort of funny, or, some of the lines that the characters were doing, but not making fun of Jason. I just wanted you to like these people, and that it had something very different from the normal way of approaching it, right up to the caretaker looking in the lens and going, some folks have a strange idea of entertainment, which was directed at us, the audience, and also, to the critics, to make a joke about, hey, this is the stuff we like. And that helped us with reviews. But the whole movie has always been looked at as sort of the rock and roll Jason, the Jason that kind of took the format and did something different with it. So cut to a number of years later, my agent's sending me scripts. I get a script of a movie called Scary Movie. And I start reading it and going, God, this is so much like my, Jason Lives. Not that, it was the same story or anything, but that whole making sort of fun of the genre and having fun with the in-jokes and stuff. So I said, no, I kind of made this movie. What else do you got? And after I read a bunch of other scripts, nothing was as good as that script. So I went back and I said, you still have that Scary Movie script? He goes, no, Wes Craven's doing it. And I went, okay, well, I'm sure he'll do a good job. Well, obviously the Scream franchise was huge. He changed it from Scary Movie to Scream, later used the name Scary Movie on another film. And then maybe another 6-8 years later, I meet Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, and about some other project, and we're talking, and he said, I got to tell you something. Your Friday the 13th had a lot to do with why I wrote, Scary Movie. And I went, you're not going to believe this, Kevin. I passed on that because I felt it was too much like it. He goes, well, that's weird. And I go, but, obviously I can't say anything bad about what Wes has done. He's done an amazing job with it, but I kind of regret now that I passed on it because it was a terrific idea.
Wow, that's an interesting story. Did not know that about Scream being passed off there. Let's see. Doomsday Crypt wants to know what was it like working with CJ. He met him at a Crypticon. Dude is hilarious. He has ton of love for you, Tom. We need CJ as Jason again, and you to write and direct.
Yeah. All of those are yeps. CJ is an incredible guy. Since the time we worked together, we have remained, good friends. We always are texting, Facebooking, doing these conventions together. So we see each other quite a bit. Podcasts, CJ will talk with, one interviewer, and then he says, yeah, you got to talk to Tom, or I'll meet with an interviewer and say, you got to go talk to, CJ and any of the cast members, we're all close. So yeah, he has been great. And yes, I finally did, after almost 32 years, wrote a sequel to my Jason Lives that takes place in 1999, 13 years after, I put Jason down into the water. And I thought, there's stuff that they've done since then. And it's almost like Halloween, where they sort of, the last Halloween, they said, okay, yes, there's all these sequels, but we're going to pick up at this point where we kind of left off in the original. So I wanted to kind of pick up where I left off and do something that's a little bit more of, did this happen or not happen? But there are documents about it. There was reports that this occurred. And based on those documents, that's how I wrote this story. And I wanted to really do something that hadn't been done yet on a Friday, which is put Jason in the snow in the winter, set it at literally across the lake at a spiritual retreat with all female teenage Catholic girls and a nun. And those are the only women. Yeah, I mean, those are the women, and Jason's the only man. And try to do something different with the way things go in terms of the course. But basically, it's still that whole claustrophobic thing that you can't get out. This is almost like the John Carpenter's The Thing, or even the original Thing, where you're stuck in a snowed in environment, and going out there just means you're going to face Jason, but it's going to completely different. You're not going to be running as you are, trying to get through the snow to get away. So I have that script. We have storyboards. If anybody, gets the Screen Factory big, box set, there's, I have illustrations and concept drawings in there of what I want to do. And when I was writing it, all I saw was CJ. I mean, so obviously I told him, if we can get this thing happening after the rights issue gets solved, you and I are going to team up again. So this is the big hope.
Doomsday was asking, aside from part 6, what's your favorite in the series?
4. Well, one was the one I originally saw and thought it was great. And then I had not seen any of the other ones until I got the job. Then I went back and watched 1 all the way through 5, and watching them there as like, the Jason movies, because obviously the first one wasn't a Jason movie. Part 4 was the one that Joe Zito directed, that I thought really had all the elements really well done. And that kind of was, my favorite of all the other sequels.
I'm one of the odd man out, and number 8's my favorite. But it was the first Jason
takes a boat ride.
Is that the first one you saw?
Yeah, it was the first one. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies when I was younger, so
yeah.
When I got older, I started sneaking into watching channels I wasn't supposed to, and I watched Jason 8, and it made me fall in love with Jason.
Yeah.
And then I started watching the other ones, but yeah, I'm low key number 8.
I mean, my girlfriend was really young when her brother took her to see part 5. So that was her favorite, seeing part 5. And then by the time she saw mine, part 6, then she liked that even better. But she still has all this sentimental, attachment because that was the first one that she saw. And I realize when I meet people, it's always about that, the first one that you went,
yeah.
Well, what is this? That really has.
Yeah, I let my son, when I was trying to introduce him into horror movies, I let him pick. It was like some Friday the 13th. I laid out all my DVDs because I own all of them. And I said, okay, you pick which one you want to watch. And he picked out 10. So 10 was his first.
Yeah.
We watched 10, then 8. So, but yeah, he really liked that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are more of the goofier side.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the franchise was just kind of running out of ideas, and it's like, let's send him to Mars. No, let's just send him in outer space. Okay, well, how about another town? Kansas? Nah, Manhattan. Yeah, And then of course they come up with this stuff, and then they don't have the budget to go to New York, so they end up thing in Vancouver, and mainly on a boat. So
right,
he got there eventually, but I think the movie that was in all of our heads, it didn't quite happen because they just didn't have the budget to go to New York and really put Jason in New York.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Internet Eric here says, any stories or thoughts from you about your relationship with Mick Garris?
Oh, wow. Yeah, Nick and I have been so close. I'm almost like brothers for so many years. The two of us both look like renegades from the 60s, 70s era with the hair and all that. Yeah, in fact, I just saw him like 2 weeks ago. He has a book, Master of Horror, that just came out about his life and about his film. So I was there with a bunch of his other, close friends, and we were autographing the book along with him because we all have wonderful things to say about him and our relationship with him over the years. And yeah, Mick has really kind of pulled all the horror directors together with this Masters of Horror dinners that he would do. And they were, for guys like me, to be sitting there and have Quentin Tarantino on one side and Wes Craven on the other and Ram Zombie across from you and John Carpenter. I mean, just all these guys from, the early 50s horror movies all the way to the guys doing Paranormal Activity and Conjuring and things. It was just amazing. And the incredible thing, and I think all you guys who are fans will appreciate, these guys are no different than us who love these horror movies, and we're all like in awe of one another. And it's like, yeah, but what you did is, yeah, but what you did was, and it's like, what script I read that I'm just not right for, but you should get your agent to get this. I mean, just so giving, so much like, big kids. It was so great when ladies started to come, because it was like all like a guy club for many years. Finally, there's, female horror directors now. And, the new Candyman I thought was great. I thought I've
heard good things about it. I haven't got a chance to see it yet, but I've heard really good things about it.
I highly recommend
to see it.
And I'm not a big fan of when they take something and try to remake it or reinvent it some way, but they did a kick-ass job with this. And I just wish that the pandemic wasn't still happening the way it is, that it didn't have a bigger audience, because I think a lot of people just are still not going to movies yet.
Yeah.
But I stick on the stupid fucking mask and go.
My friend was lucky enough to see it at a drive-through not too far. I forget where in Georgia. We live in Tallahassee, of course, and it's like about an hour away. And I was like, oh, I wish I could have gone. That must have been great going through the drive-in and seeing Candyman. But
yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think our theater has it. We have one theater, and it just opened like a month ago.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, ours opened really late. And I've tried to keep an eye on it, but see what they've had. But I haven't seen much of like horror movies go to ours anyway. So I haven't got a chance to see it. So, but I'm excited. Once it gets to at least a streaming service or something, I'll be able to see it, because I don't know if I'll be able to see it any other way, unless I travel to like Madison or something.
I mean, I was shocked because the new Halloween, as you guys know, is coming.
To Peacock. Yeah, it's got Sundance Theater. It's like, well, why didn't Candyman come out to streaming if Halloween Kills is?
I was shocked that it's being released on Peacock, which is.
And yeah, that's a weird choice there, Peacock.
Yeah, I remember reading it, and I thought it said Paramount Plus at first, and I was like, oh, cool, I have Paramount now. I'm gonna have to think, it's like, should I spring for Peacock?
That's what they're trying to do, get the horror fans to get Peacock.
Right, yeah. Because I really want to see it. I really liked the first one that they did, so I want to see the Halloween Kills. I want to see Candyman too, but I'll eventually get to see him.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm very old school in that, it's like horror movies and comedies. It's like, go to the theater, be around other people, see if it's funny because other people are laughing, because sometimes you don't know. If that's supposed to be a joke or not. And the same thing with horror. And it's the audiences today too, just don't respond like, I hate to sound like the old fart talking about it, but in the 70s and 80s and stuff, people would be screaming at the screen, getting up out of their seats, don't go in there, motherfucker, no, and it was just like, it was an event. It was like a thrill ride.
Yeah.
And you would, at least I would design the movie so that people would respond, set up things that would make them laugh or yell something back or whatever, because it was all part of the experience. And now, I remember when I went and saw it, and I was really excited because Pennywise looked so great. And I thought, I know this is going to be interesting, take on what the TV movie miniseries was. And I was very impressed with it, but I went and saw it the first night, and the audience just sat there. I went, that's okay. All right, we're going to another theater tomorrow night. So I went to another place in town. Saw it again, same thing. I'm going, okay, holy shit, wait a minute. All right, and Sunday, went to another theater. Now I went to where people really respond, very ethnic audience, mixed, stuff. And I know they're always, pretty noisy, which is fine for me because I want to hear how they feel, what they think. And the only thing that got a reaction was when the boy and the girl kissed. It was like, oh, I went, that's it for a horror movie?
Not when he's running out in the basement?
I saw the first one in the theater, and I don't really remember too much. The last time I remember like going to the theater and seeing like a reaction, but I never like went to the theater like constantly. But it was like the remake to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There was two girls sitting in front of me that apparently did not know what Leatherface was and started freaking out when he was like cutting the person's face off. And I just was like, did you not know where you were going to see?
Yeah. Well, that, I got to tell you, that used to be the thrill, at least for us guys. So you take a date, and you wouldn't tell them what it was that you were taking them to. And so, watching these guys, sit there and, laugh as their girlfriends, got their arms around them and hiding their eyes and stuff, again, was part of that whole thing of like a fun house, and it's like, tell me when it's over, and of course
it's over, and then it wasn't over.
So, I mean, and when I saw the original Halloween on the first day when that came out, and literally, guys, popcorn was flying in the air because people were jumping out of their seats and their popcorn would just go airborne. And it was amazing, to be part of that. And they were just so terrified. And then when it ended and the Sheikh wasn't there, he left. Now everybody left going, oh shit, he's out there someplace. They didn't kill him. He's still out there. And that was, revolutionary for normally the monster gets killed at the end, right? And everybody walks out going, well, we got through that. It's like, nope, evil still is roaming someplace. And that I think was very, very cool. Hitchcock did that with the birds many years before where they got away, but all those birds just sat there for us to go, all right, next time you see a bird, think about this.
Right. Yeah, that's an amazing movie. I think the last time I went to a movie and seen like an actual reaction like that was like the Blair Witch. It was when everybody still thought it was real.
Yeah.
And soon it was over. Like literally nobody moved out of their seat. Lights came on. Everybody was sitting there just waiting. And then finally everybody started like filing out at like the last minute. It's just like nobody wanted to leave their seats.
Yeah. I know it. That was a real game changer. And I've gotten to be friends with Dan Merrick, who had, created Blair Witch and directed it. And we're doing a project together now that I was about to shoot in Florida. I was literally 48 hours from shooting. And then somebody that owned the plantation where we were supposed to shoot, and this was just like 2 months ago, pulled the plug because they found out that I was making a very strong anti-racist statement at a place where, the name of the piece is The Hanging Tree. And it has to do with, back in the days when, blacks were hung just because of their skin. And they did not want that shot on their property, despite the fact that this place had like 6,000 slaves since 1850 or whatever. It's sort of like, we don't want folks to be reminded of that. But in the center of their town, they've got, an actual hanging tree that's labeled as such. And I'm going, all right, what side of the fence are we on down here? But yeah, we had to leave. And now we're in Georgia looking for locations to shoot this. And I kind of have to, be very careful about that whole thing because, there's a far more sensitivity to it than I certainly realized. I thought, look at the past, see that we don't repeat that again because there was an awful lot of injustice for a lot of different, people, a lot of different ethnic types over the years. And, that should not be. But how do we forget about it? People do. And they won't, it's like they don't want to be reminded. So, yeah, but Dan Merrick and I, have been working on trying to get this thing made and talking with him about Blair Witch. He had no idea that was going to be what it became. And part of that was the internet, the fact that people started hearing about it and they went to the theater with these terrified expectations that they were going to see something real. And that really added a lot to the experience.
Doomsday has a question. Is there something in modern horror that you think, that Tom thinks modern horror does better than classics and things they might not capture, and he feels missing. It's kind of a long run question.
I think I understand what he's saying. Is there something that we're doing today in horror that they didn't do before?
Yeah, I think that's where he's going with.
Well, obviously, it goes without saying pretty much that the effects now are unbelievable. I mean, what you can pull off, and you get good makeup effects people. And, when you cut a throat open now, it's not just, a blade, a phony blade with a little bit of red sauce go across. I mean, the neck opens up and, you see, inside the muscles. I mean, it's just incredible, or heads being blown off, or any of this stuff that, it's like, oh my God, that's too real. But how many of us actually have seen any of this stuff to say it's real or not? But it certainly feels that way. But I think just in terms of stories and things, there's a lot of stuff that was just, taboo material back in the day. I mean, whether it had to do with anything that had any gay themes in it, or if the heroes were any type of ethnicity that you couldn't have, that they, switch it up. And Candyman is a perfect example that is told more from the Black perspective than it was from the white perspective in the original. And so there's certain things now that I think really add more emotional depth that we didn't have before. I always go back to The Sixth Sense as one of those movies that when I saw it, I went, God, they could have just taken that movie and said, well, this has been on the shelf since the 1980s. Here, what do you think? Because it had this sort of like timeless horror quality about it. Yet the whole idea of it being, from the perspective of somebody who was dead looking at this thing, and the relationship with the little boy and how he carried that movie, I can't think of a whole lot of other examples where, it really was that powerful, that the horror movies kind of have matured, to that point. And the big game changer, of course, was Exorcist. What that did and got away with an R rating is, really kind of changed everything. So there was a period where we were really trying to be more bloody, more gory. And then you bring up, Blair Witch, and not a drop of blood. Everything was in your imagination, and that was really great. Paranormal Activity. Basically you're looking at all these scenes from a surveillance camera sitting up there, and you're watching people like this big on the screen moving around, and suddenly there's like a boom, that happens. The whole audience jumps, and the person down there, something just seemed to explode, and they get a big jump scare out of that. We never could do that back in the day. But part of it is because on television, we've seen these reality shows that showed us these, perspectives, this night vision look, where people's eyes kind of glow, white. And, that looks creepy. And when you're going down into the basement and somebody's got one of those cameras, there's a lot of little innovations that, have occurred that, take horror kind of like another step beyond, what it was. But it still gets down to the basics, guys. You've got to have somebody up there that you care about, as the lead character, or a relationship that you want to see if they're going to make it through this, the two of them. There's got to be some sort of structure, that something set up that you're going to be promised something by the time you get to the end of the movie, and you don't want to be disappointed, because if the ending is shit, you go, God, and you really wanted that to work out, and you didn't know how, but you just thought the filmmakers would be smart enough to make these characters and this story work out. So the ending is always, to me, very, very crucial to get, like Halloween did, that last moment where you go, oh man, that's scary, or any of the good ones all have something that ends, some promise that this is going to go on, or that this resolved in a way that's somehow satisfactory to you. Which is what all movies should do, is have you walk away with an experience that you felt like, I'm glad I've spent, 2 hours here. This was great time.
Right. Absolutely.
So verge off movies for a minute. I found out you did the Pamela tapes to Friday the 13th. I own this game, but I don't play it very often. Was it your idea to put the little Easter eggs in it, or did the people who created the game come to you?
the people who created the game came to me, and I was really fortunate because when I saw how many, incredible alumni from the Fridays, were all part of this thing, and when I saw some of the footage of Kane Hodder doing Jason, it was so violent. I thought you couldn't get a frame of that into a regular movie, because they could just take, smashing somebody's head into a wall, 20 times, or putting them in the fire and stomp. I mean, just stuff you're going, oh. So I didn't know exactly what I could contribute other than, they said they've got voice actress who can do, Pamela's voice really well, and sound just like Betsy Palmer. And I heard her and I went, wow, that's great. And then I thought, okay, this whole notion that she's in the police station and meanwhile the rest of the cops are searching Crystal Lake for Jason's body. And then this is the stuff that comes up about what happened, what her past was like. And then, of course, going to talk about Elias Voorhees, her husband. And I don't want to spoil the twist that I put in there. I mean, some of you guys who have gone through the Easter eggs know what I ultimately, did there. But I always felt that there was something else about the whole thing with Jason's father. And that's kind of where I put that element of the story, into those Easter eggs that Pamela reveals about the true nature of Jason's father.
Yeah, I never knew there was Easter eggs. Like I said, I've only played the game a couple times because I'm not very good at games, but I had to have a Jason game. So, and when I was doing research on it, I found out you put Easter eggs in it. I was like, oh, that is awesome.
I wrote it like a radio play. It was like you never saw anything; you're just listening to it.
Right? Is it like cassette tapes or something?
And you just, it was fun, and kind of could do whatever I wanted, within that, and it was a fun assignment, and I wish the game kept going because they have so many other ideas that they wanted to do.
I know.
So
I wish it would have too, and even though I didn't play that much, I wish it wouldn't have happened the way it did.
Yeah,
we wanted him to make it Manhattan in the game, finally.
Yeah, why not? Have different levels. Callbacks to all the movies. I mean, they put didn't they put the NES Jason in there?
Yeah.
I was like, why not?
Yeah, doing these conventions and meeting all the fans and stuff out there, it's so great how many different things that they really love about the whole franchise, and some are real. The purple blue Jason is like, really meant something because they played that when they were like 7 years old, or something, and they have T-shirts with that on it, and others, are Jason Live fans, or others are, the original or the remake. It's all over the map, but everybody sort of loves the fact that, like Frankenstein, he's like their monster, and
right.
That's the one they grew up on, and that's the one they watched 1,000 times over and over and over again, because you had it on VHS or DVD or Blu-ray, or now of course can stream it.
Let's see, Madison from Murfreesboro. She was wondering about your creative progress for Jason Lives. How easy or hard was it? Did it come at you at once or in waves?
It was pretty much a one few days burst. If you go on YouTube and you look up Legends Never Die, Hollywood Forever, it's on, I guess it's on the Screen Factory extras, but it's an interview with me in black and white. It looks very cool the way they shot it. And I basically am introducing you to all the famous dead people that are at Hollywood Forever, that are cool to me. Johnny Ramone and Cecil B. DeMille and all these guys, Fay Ray, King Kong. And then I talk about, on the other side of the fence of that cemetery is Paramount Studios, and this cemetery is where I wrote Jason Lives, and I wrote it with a pencil and notebook paper. And, I would come every day and sit out there and kind of let, my imagination run with itself. And first I did a kind of a treatment, a synopsis of the whole story. That was approved. And then I came back and just kind of wrote the screenplay all by hand, gave it to a typist at Paramount, and then they wrote it up. So the process was, it's like I kind of just let the cemetery, my imagination, speak to me, and I was like the note taker. What? Oh, okay. It was, I don't think I've ever had that, that kind of a process quite like that before or since. So it was kind of exciting, to do it that way. And then, of course, that cemetery's meant a lot to me. I shot One Dark Night, my first movie, in that mausoleum. My crypt, where I shall be forevermore, is in that.
That was another question that was sort of brought up. Jamie Michigan was talking about the One Dark Night mausoleum. You actually bought and owned that crypt for it.
Yeah. That's again, I bring that up in this Hollywood Forever. I'm sorry, Legends Never Die, Hollywood Forever YouTube thing. That I was inspired at one point to actually buy a crypt and plan for, once I'm gone, how the show will go on. And part of it is just my whole belief in the psychic sciences, the paranormal, what we are all capable of doing, that you go, no, that can't happen. And, and I always go, how about this? How about if I showed you this phone, say 25 years ago, maybe you probably weren't even born, but, the idea of having all this, being able, to do what we're doing right now and stuff, forget about it. Nobody would ever say that was real. That's like some crazy sci-fi idea. And my strong belief is that, what we have up here is far greater than any, chip or anything that you can create digitally. We just don't know how to do it in a pattern that always produces the same result. For something to be scientific, you've got to be able to do it 3 times the same way and have it produce the same results. Certain people see ghosts, certain people don't. Certain people get bad vibes, certain people don't. Certain people see someone and go, that's my life partner. Other people marry 20 times and never find the right one. Some people drink because their dad did and their grandfather did and their great grandfather did, and they hated every one of them, but they do the same thing. They can't break. There's stuff that we go, there's got to be other ways that we're being influenced, and things happen that we just don't quite grasp. And I have this feeling about what you leave behind and what you can leave behind, and the energies that we all have when we exchange with each other. What if I could leave something there that when people come, that crypt acts almost like a modem that can pull something in. So every year on my birthday, I gather friends, fans, anybody who wants to come, and we meet and we talk about life. We talk about things we're doing. We talk about the good things. We laugh. And I'm filling that corridor with as many great memories and hopes and dreams, so that hopefully after I'm gone and in that sucker, people come back into that, and it's like, I'm feeling something here. Maybe they never even came to those gatherings, but you feel something as you do on, murder sites, as you do in your grandmother's house. It's like, God, it just feels so cozy. There's something there that nobody can tell me I'm right or wrong. We just don't know, and
right.
That's the whole thing. Is like, I'm not talking about going to heaven and hell. I'm talking about leaving like a film, but in this case, it's an energy of some sort, and it can be positive or negative. Mine, I just want it to be positive and want people to feel like, you know what? I still sense this son of a bitch. God, weird. This again, people say, how are you going to know? You're going to be dead. I go, I know right now. And the idea sounds very cool right now. So I'm happy now. I don't know how I'll be later, but right now the idea, and a lot of people go, okay, sure. All right, I'll buy it. Why not? So
before I get into Doomsday's question, I just want to add, One Dark Night is on Tubi right now, and it has the late great Adam West in it, and that movie is amazing. You definitely should check it out. But Doomsday says, is there one horror piece of memorabilia that you have that is priceless to you?
Whoa. Well, obviously the Jason's coffin and the the tombstone are great. I don't know if I'm gonna, when I get into some point in my life go, I'm going to have to sell that. I can't pay the rent. I'm hoping not. I almost gave both of them to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences because Guillermo del Toro had contacted me and said that they were looking for horror things, and things got kind of crossed up in the communication and stuff, so it ended up not happening. So I still have the stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've got Raymar's plaque from One Dark Night, which means a lot to me, and I've got the arrow that was punched in my eye in the movie Prophecy, where I was the mutated bear, in that. So I've got, little things here and there of stuff I've gotten, involved with. And there's, just cool effect things that I've picked up, from collectors and stuff over the years that aren't mine, but, had a, great impact on me. Like a recreation of Linda Blair, in the makeup for the demon that is very chilling, that a young makeup artist did, that I was incredibly impressed with.
Steve, did you have any more of your questions?
I think that was it from back there.
While you're looking, I'll ask, when you did Without a Trace, did they already have like a story outline for you to go, or was that the whole thing your idea?
No, Without a Trace, I mean, like most of those shows, they have very high-paid script and TV teleplay writers. The problem with mine was they hadn't quite figured out what the story was going to be exactly. They kind of had an idea for what the case was going to be, but how they were going to do it. So I kind of walked into a situation where it's like, all right, well, because you have to pick locations for things when you're going to shoot them. And there's certain sets that have already been built, like, what their offices were and things. So, you're always going to be doing scenes in there. But, they said, well, one scene's going to take place in a hospital, we think. And one's going to be in like a, business complex thing, we think. So there was a lot of like going and seeing stuff and trying to prove it, but having no idea what you were going to shoot, what the tone of it was. A lot of television, particularly in that time, was really kind of chaotic, that they would get very behind in okaying scripts, and it was very rough for the directors. So I didn't really know, exactly what it was going to be until pretty much a few days before, was going to shoot. And then you have to kind of depend on, well, the cameraman has been on this show for a full season. He knows what he's doing. The cast knows what they're doing. So you kind of, balance yourself in between all the people that are experienced, with a particular series, to kind of, take you through. Because, that's why I'm not a big fan of series as a director, because it's somebody else's bat and ball and, and field. And it's like, here, go play. All right, that's it. Take it back. Where when you create it yourself, you know what it is, you know what you want, you're the engine of the whole thing. So I've
always been curious about that with a series, that a long-lasting series, but some of them have different directors or something like that. I was always curious, like, how they did that, but I didn't know if like the director had like complete control of the story, or if they just like, here you go do it.
Some do, but even Quentin Tarantino came in and did a couple of episodes of, I don't know, was it CSI or one of those type crime series shows, and he just came in and said, okay, this is how the show goes, and he's a fan of the show, and he shot it the way the show looks, and provided what little touches he could, which is what we all do as directors, is that you may say to an actor, make it a little less loud, just bring it down. Or somebody else may say, as you're saying this, you realize this person is gorgeous and you didn't expect them to be so gorgeous. So that's going on, in the scene. So when you see it, you go, that was interesting what happened in that scene. And, then that might have been purely because that particular director had the actors kind of approach the scene different than just information, as certainly happens in these procedural things. Where were you on the night of so-and-so? And did you, there's no real relationships. It's all questions, answers. And, the good ones, you kind of get there's something else happening. Are they lying? Are they, telling the truth? Is it partly truth? So again, that's hopefully what the director helps guide the actor into.
And so this will be my question for you then. Since we've been talking about your career and all, let's go back a little bit. I think you said the Monster Universal kind of inspired you. What else inspired you the most? And always into creative writing and directing. Did you go to school for that?
Well, I had a kind of a very strange childhood for two reasons. One, my father was a USC film graduate. He graduated in 1949. You couldn't get a job in Hollywood as a film student looking for work. I mean, it was unheard of. You got into the film business because you had enough money that you put some money into some movie, or you knew somebody and could get into one of the studios and get a job. It was your uncle that had the job and he brought you in, whatever. It wasn't because you had a film education. So he had this sort of bitter pill he had to swallow about they weren't hiring him to do that. But he was also a magician and a fire eater. So he, would get these jobs, doing that as he had done, pretty much his whole life. And he bought a house in Culver City in Los Angeles that was right next to the MGM studios. So as a kid, I literally had the old backlots of the MGM studios to make my little 8mm movies, of which he encouraged me because he loved movies and, he'd like to see his son kind of do what, he loved. So I had that sort of going as, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to be a magician. I want to, be a performer. And then the Beatles hit in '62, and suddenly my hair grew out. I got kicked out of 7 high schools. My father wanted to disown me. My mother didn't know what the hell to do with me. But here I was, 15, 16 years old, eventually, opening for the Doors, for Iron Butterfly, for the Animals, for Pink Floyd, for all these iconic groups. And, we were just kids. So that kind of was what, got me, off into the whole rock and roll world, of which I'm still doing today. We reformed that band from the 60s. And for the last 10 years, we have been, doing albums. We have a vinyl album out, which is something we wanted to do in the 60s, but didn't get a chance to do. And music videos and, tours, and we were touring all the way up until, the wonderful virus hit and everything, stopped. And we had a whole bunch of jobs that we were supposed to have done this past summer. Everything was canceled. So, we unfortunately, we can't even rehearse all together because everybody's older and they're afraid of getting together. I'm a little more foolhardy, I had the damn COVID, got in and out of it in a week and going, okay, I want to get back to my life here. Oh, you got shots? Great. I'll take the fucking shots. All right. I want to get my life back. But the fact is, this variant and how many more coming down the pike is real. And it's a question of whether you get it or you don't get it and how many people spread it, whatever the hell is going to eventually it's going to take to get it to stop. So it's, it messes with us one way or the other. Either we can't do what we want to do, or you go out and do it and you just hope for the best. But my career, once I did the rock and roll, then evolved into mime because I wanted to be a more interesting visual singer. So I went to Paris at 19, studied with Marcel Marceau to be more of a physical performer, then got jobs in these horror movies as, the Mutant Bear in Prophecy, Captain Star in The Black Hole, the Jabberwocky in Alice in Wonderland, Mechanical Toy and Incredible Shrinking Woman, robots, humanoids. I mean, whatever it took, zombies, anything inside of a suit that required movement, that's how I kind of made my living while writing scripts, so that I could get back to what I wanted to do when I was 7, which was make movies. And eventually, One Dark Night was the first script that, that I was able to get made, followed by Friday the 13th. And I guess it's been about 42 feature films I've done since that time. So, it's been wonderful. And the fact that the rock and roll started up again 10 years ago, it's sort of like I'm going back, picking up where I left off, hopefully, get those dreams as well told as I possibly can in life.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Doomsday says, excuse me, Jason Lives is a favorite of mine, but sometimes they come back. Was watched many times with friends as kids. Truly an incredible horror film. Yeah, I absolutely love Sometimes They Come Back. I own that one as well.
There it is. Yeah, I mean, if you get the book that Joe Maudry did on me, which is called A Strange Idea of Entertainment, Conversations with Tom Mcloughlin, I probably talk more about Sometimes They Come Back than any other movie of the films I've done, mainly because it happened at a very traumatic point in my life. My father had just died. My daughter had just been born. Me and Mick Garris had put together like 20 episodes of She-Wolf of London and 20 episodes of They Came from Outer Space that we were overseeing. My best friend, Stephen Banks, that I directed his stage show, that was being done as a Disney comedy special that I was also directing. And I was prepping Sometimes They Come Back that was going to be shot in Kansas. All this stuff was happening simultaneously. So emotionally, I was like all over the place. But somehow in the telling of that story, so much of my own personal life kind of came into it. And Tim Matheson and I somehow bonded in a way that he was like the other part of me. And he brought stuff to it that I could never have done, because Tim Matheson is a wonderful actor, incredible guy. But, you know, I somehow, through the process of making the movie, we had nothing but problems. I mean, day one, it snowed, 10 inches, and we lost all the first day we couldn't shoot. And every other day something would happen, and we went from a 28-day shoot to a 36-day shoot, which is unheard of in low-budget filmmaking. And it was also being made as a CBS TV movie at the same time we were shooting it as a feature for Europe. And it was just racked with problems and issues and setbacks and stuff. But somehow when all the pieces came together and the music that Terry Plumeri put on it had a heart that made it something more than just a scary ghost story. There was a real deep sort of Stephen King family connection that occurred in the process of this. And it had to do with, of course, everybody, doing it. But I know when my two kids saw the movie later on in life, they just went, God, Dad, that's so much you. That's so much your life, in there. And it's like something, as a filmmaker, you don't necessarily see. You're just kind of going through it. And it comes through just in the way you direct and the choices you make. And so it is a very personal film to me. And I love when people do say it's like one of their favorites. Some people, it's their favorite Stephen King movie, which shocks the hell out of me, because it's basically, for most people, a little TV movie, that came and went. But it did so well in Europe that they did Sometimes They Come Back 2, and Sometimes They Come Back Again. So it obviously, worked for people that they made sequels.
Was Stephen King involved in any of it or on set at all? No,
not at all. Unfortunately,
I know he is on some, but not all.
Yeah, I mean, Mick Garris has had a wonderful relationship with Stephen King, because he's done some of the really big King, things like The Stand, and he talks gloriously about him as a guy. But I've never had the the fortune of meeting him. Which there's people that have been so instrumental in my life, creatively. Perfect example, Alice Cooper. Everybody goes, "God, you and Alice, guys must have really hit it off and stuff." And I go, I have not met Alice Cooper in 35 years since I made this movie, and we got him, and he wrote the song, and I asked for 2 other songs, and the record company let us have it and stuff. Alice and I have not physically met. But in mid 1960s, when I had this band, The Sloths, which I was talking about earlier, Alice was a guy named Vincent from Texas who had a band called the Naz, and we played on the same bills together. We hung out at Frank Zappa's house together and talked and stuff. I never knew that was Alice Cooper, that Vincent was Alice, until years later. So we knew each other, way back there in the mid 60s. But as I said, since he's been Alice, have yet to meet him. So, there's certain people that it's like, I've worked twice for Steven Spielberg, still have not met Steven, yet have done stuff with him. So every so often in the creative world, it's like these people, you've worked with their material, or you got their okay on certain things, but it's not like, you literally know them.
I chuckled when you brought that up because actually, literally, the next question in the chat it was from Spaced Out Ace. What do you think of 80s rock and metal, and then Alice Cooper? So as soon as you brought that up, I started chuckling. It wasn't for what you said. It was just because the next question was Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, I came late to the whole 80s metal stuff because, we were 60s and then, of course, into some of the 70s. And then once I started making films, of course, I listened to rock and roll, but it wasn't like, put on the headphones, smoke a joint, and sit there all fucking day, banging your head. I didn't get that, so it took a while. And a lot of it has to do with my girlfriend, Laura, who's an total 80s freak, knows everything about every band, every horror movie in the 80s. So, I got this whole sort of, indoctrination to all of that through her. And of course, now, we'll go and see, these acts or when we could go see them, and of course, listen to the music and stuff. So I've become more and more of a fan of that, that genre of music. But I really like pretty much everything. It's like, electronic, I didn't get until I went to a couple of raves and hung out and got it, and there's times, rap, same thing. Didn't get rap until I started hanging around kids who wrote rap, and then suddenly I got it, and once you really kind of understand where a certain type of music comes from and kind of get into that vibe, there's some just great stuff that certain people would go, nah, I never listened to that. But, you kind of have to open yourself up to, what it has, that you can relate to on some level.
So it's almost like my music taste. It's like all over the place. I don't have like a set thing. I have a couple favorites, but like if I don't really have like a set, I only listen to such music, but I have them like all over the place. If I like the sound of it, I listen to it. Like my Spotify playlist is like all over the place, from like Dean Martin to Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
it's all over.
It's all good.
Throwing some Willie in there because supposedly I'm related to Willie Nelson, so I gotta have some of him in there.
Yeah. So I got to see Willie live like 3 years ago, I guess it's been, which I never had a chance to. And I thought, okay, I got to do this, and it was great. It was this wonderful.
Yeah, I've always wanted, he's never been, as far as I know, like anywhere nearby, but I've always been curious because it's always been a family rumor that he's like a distant relative in my family, and I just never confirmed. It was probably just a rumor. But I just, to go see that, as a possible distant cousin concert.
Yeah, I've been very blessed in my life that I've seen twice the Beatles live, the Stones, I don't know how many times. I was at Monterey Pop Festival, and we all were seeing Jimi Hendrix for the first time, and Janis Joplin and The Who. And then later on in life, finally catching up with, Motley Crue and AC/DC and, all these other, incredible bands. It's just like, how can you dislike one or like one over the other if you go to the concerts and you're there with the fans and you're going, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But people go like, no way you were at the Monterey Pop Festival. And I go, look at the documentary, Monterey Pop Festival. 3 times you'll see my face like this. Stoned out of my gourd with my best friend, Chris, whose father was Henry Mancini, who got us front row seats at Monterey Pop. And we were, 16-year-old, weed smokers that had a band, and we were blessed to get to be at some place that was historical in music. And, it had such an impact, particularly Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's like, I want to be him, that was like mind blowing to see that live and see him light that guitar and, do the stuff he did. Amazing.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I've never really been to I've been to 2 concerts my whole life. I've never really gotten to go, but I've seen Hinder and Alice in Chains.
Oh, you're young. You still got time.
Not that young.
We're all young, darling. Anything else?
Did you have any more? I know we're a little bit past our hour mark. I don't know.
I guess one last question, or maybe something you want to tell us about yourself that we may not know about, whether it be hobbies, interests, or talents, or anything you'd like to share.
What do I always wish I had talked people 2 things. One, conventions. people go, how come you never come to these conventions? You know, you got all these people that want to see you and stuff. It's not that I don't want to, it's that the fans have to say to the people that book them, you know, we want, you know, Tom Mcloughlin to come to this. You know, I've done a couple of Days of the Dead. I did a Horror Hound years ago in Cincinnati. But since that time, you know, if fans don't say something, they'll basically kind of book the people that they know have done well in the past. And yet, like I did this drive-in theater in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia last weekend. And I was autographing stuff for 4 hours before I introduced the movie, you know, Friday the 13th at the drive-in. And, you know, the person that books me sat there going, I can't believe this. And I go, people now want the writer director. It used to be, no, we only want the person on the screen. But I love going and seeing the fans. I love hearing the stories. I want to know, you know, when you saw it, how you saw it. Did it have any effect on you, or just like what's going on in your life? I mean, I love that. So if anybody's out there, you know, and you have any way of emailing or whatever, people that book these different conventions in your, you know, vicinity, you know, please ask, because I would love to meet you. And
definitely, I'll let Petey, who runs Spooky Empire, know. I mean, I think it's, you know, booked for this year, but definitely I'll let him know that you should be a possible guest for sure. So
yeah, because it is just the thing of, you know, fans love to give back, you know, their appreciation, and I love to hear it. And that's, you know, if you can't be in a theater watching people react, at least you can talk to them afterwards and say, yeah, I saw that on DVD 40 times, you know, and I still love it. And I know that it's great to hear that. And people love to share, you know, their stories and how you know, how they watched it, you know, in bed with the, you know, blankets pulled up, you know. These are just fun things to get to share. The other thing is, I've created a group in the last, I guess it's been 4 months, 5 months now, we've been rehearsing, because I have the group The Sloss, which, you know, if you go on thesloss.org, you know, you can see us, hear us, you know, you want to get the album or buy a t-shirt or whatever, that's all there on thesloss.org. But I wanted to create something during the pandemic that I've wanted to do for many years and been thinking about, which is put together a band that only plays songs that are from horror movies that we all know and love. And when I started to research it, there's like 50 really cool songs that if you never even saw the horror movie, it's like, oh, I love that song, you know. And, you know, the fact that if we could play also at the conventions and stuff for the audience who are horror fans and rock and roll fans, I've always thought that could be, you know, just incredible. So, of course, you know, I've always done Man Behind the Mask, even with the Sloss, and, you know, sing it as close to sounding like Alice as possible. You know, now we're doing, you know, doing things like Fear the Reaper, you know, doing Pet Sematary. I mean, you name it, you know, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And it is great fun to do those with a band. And the fact that we can, you know, basically do sets where every song you go, I love that song. And it's not, you know, it's not like we're doing tributes to any one particular, you know, act like AC/DC or something. It's all over the map. Everything from Sympathy for the Devil, you know, that Guns N' Roses, you know, did in Interview with a Vampire, you know, on through to, you know, whatever the latest song that's in something that's just been released. So it's a chance for me to kind of do horror movies and rock and roll. So, you know, the name of the band is Horror Rocks. So it's like, you know, ROXX, Horror Rocks. So it's, you know, that's a real passion piece right now for me. And, you know, hopefully by next year, if everything turns around with our world, you know, be able to be out there live and, you know, be out in the middle with you guys doing these songs. And most of you are going to know it, you know, these words like, you know, Time Warp. There'll be in a crowd, everybody singing Time Warp together.
Step to the yes.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, that's the big plans at the moment for getting back out there live.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. And any other projects or anything else to keep an eye out, or where we can find you, information of upcoming, anything upcoming?
Of anything else coming up?
Or like, you know, if your Twitter website or anything that you post that you want to share or anything that we can keep an eye on, or.
Yeah, just, you know, my Facebook is, you know, Tommy Mcloughlin. Obviously you can, put that on. I tend to keep going over the limit. So I have to go back and see who's dropped off, because lots of times you go through your
Right. Yeah.
people have like disappeared off the face of the earth and they're still taking up space. So, I'm sort of what's the word? Ejecting. Thank you.
Ejecting. There we go.
Certain people that are no longer there. So that's one place, as I mentioned, the Sloss, YouTube. There's stuff you can see there, and yeah, just in general, if anybody's interested in the book, that's on Amazon. Strange Idea of Entertainment. That if you want to hear some crazy stories about somebody in show business, there's a lot in there. And of course, if you love the movies, I talk at great length about how we did them and what we did.
All right. Yep.
And when you're talking about like the horror songs, the first song that popped in my head was like the original Blob movie, that little theme song that they had. I think that was good, like a little kind of a rock twist to it. I think that would be a good song.
That's a great suggestion. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got that on my playlist because I like the song. I like the way it goes. But yeah, you should get to like do something with like Ari, the first Jason. I can't think of his last name.
Yeah,
he does music as well.
Yeah. Well, this is quite because Ari's doing all his own songs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he is doing his own.
Ari's, when I finally get this to sort of the spectacular thing that I want it to be, there'll be like clips from the movies behind us. So we'll be playing the songs at the same time. You get images from Fright Night or whatever horror movie the song's from. So it'll be also a visual experience. But I'm very much as a performer, getting off the stage, getting out with people and getting people involved. So that's again part of what I think is so cool about live stuff, is that you literally can bring the audience in with you into it, and that is something obviously we can't do with the movies and certainly can't do on streaming. So
yeah, that sounds amazing. If you guys come near me, I would definitely go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That sounds
all right.
amazing.
Well, thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed talking with you, and
all right,
hopefully brought some insight into the crazy world of Tom Mcloughlin.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank all you guys too.
All right, have a good night.
Okay, see you, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, we kidnapped him.
Yep.
There you go.
We cyber napped him again.
His other movies that I would highly suggest. I watched this movie last night. I did not know it was going to be as dark as it was because I went off the synopsis off Tubi. But Rock Steady Row, it's on Tubi. Definitely check that out. That movie, it's a little slow, but it's very dark. Definitely check it out. Behind the Mask is also on Tubi. It's not a horror movie, but it's a really good movie. It's probably more of a drama movie. Trying to see what else. There's another. Murder of Innocence. Oh my God, that is based on a true story. That is also on Tubi. Highly, 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 highly suggest that, and the one he was talking about, the One Dark Night, that is on Tubi. Those two, definitely highly suggest those movies.
All right, have a good night. Spaced Out. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for the questions as well.
Yeah.
And Fairy Tale, he did Fairy Tale, A True Story. That's on Paramount Plus. If that's another non-horror movie to check out, if you want to look at something that's not horror. Well, I thought it was weird because he said he played the bear in Prophecy, but in the description on IMDb it lists him as a mime.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it says mime. And it doesn't say that he played the bear. So I thought that was weird. I was going to bring it up, but we got talking about so many things that...
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Rock Steady Row as well, and the Murder of Innocence I have some questions about, but it is fine, yeah. It's not that...
Maybe in the future we'll get some more questions.
Maybe we'll get him back. I know we have a short amount of time, and we was talking about probably a little bit more important topics that more people probably know, but...
Yeah.
yeah, the Murder of Innocence definitely highly suggests true crime story that he brought to life, and definitely highly suggests the actress. She's famous. At least she was like in like 80s or 90s, something like that. I can't think of her name, and I don't have the way to look it up, but she did an amazing job. So highly suggest. But other than that, I don't know. Bill, what did you get to see at the convention today?
Oh, let's see. I went ahead and saw Jason Mewes today, of course. Some of the Nightmare people I saw, I'll see them in Orlando, so I didn't really go through too much there. Mostly just hung out around, and when my friends were here before they left. We were tempted. They have the monster. They had the Dracula and their vehicle from the original show and everything, and
Nice.
and Butch Patrick was out there, and for $50, we didn't do it. We were tempted, but for $50, you could go in a ride to it, start it up, blare it up, and everything, and ride around the parking lot. And he'd drive it. You could sit in the top row there and take a picture. And like these girls that were riding in the back taking selfies, and then he took a picture. And then they had the Dracula. And that one person, the one, I guess there was a monster episode where they were monsters. There we go. Say, with the you there. I guess they had raced them or whatever in an episode up the block or something. So like people were mentioning that, and it was funny. Came up with a really funny joke. But we were driving. I don't know. You remember the movie The Stupids when he sings "My Own Grandpa"? My own grandpa. He sings how he's. Well, we were joking around. We were like, we should have Butch Patrick go as agent. Since he was in the Monsters, he should play Grandpa, and then Eddie he'd be his own grandpa, and then have Rob Zombie do a middle version of My Own Grandpa. It's like Eddie's gonna be his own grandpa. But I mean, that would be such a draw for the movie if that were to happen, though.
Right? Yeah, I don't know if Rob Zombie's reached out to him or not. I did see a picture. I think it was on Instagram of Bill Moseley with him. I found out it was at a convention because I was like, oh, he's on Movie 6. I think Bill Moseley's going to be in the Monsters. I'm not for sure, but I think he is.
Who knows? Yeah.
Probably. But excuse me. But I mean, he'll probably be in it. He's in like every Rob Zombie movie, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I seen him a picture with it, and I was like, "Oh man, he's gonna be in it."
So, technical, we'll mute that there. You feeling better?
Yeah, I figure I'd mute myself.
Yeah, if I saw that, so I was like,
so nobody has to hear me choke.
We can just edit that out later. Except for the
yeah, I don't always get to the button fast enough, but.
Oh yeah, and I hung out a little bit with Jordan Dintali. I'm saying her name wrong. I'm sorry, but from Fear Street, she was Ruby, and then Noah was here, and the other Skullface killer. The three of the killers from Fear Street were here. So, and he actually did stunt work for. Doctor Strange in Endgame and Captain America in The Winter Soldier. So he got to be the stunt double on that. So that was pretty interesting. And I, of course, I told them about the show and they all seemed interested. So who knows? Fingers crossed. We might have some Fear Street people coming on. I mean, nothing official though. I mean, if they email me, they do. But that'd be fun though. And it was. I know Jordan said this was her first convention, and I just did like a little. Minute and a half talking to her, saying, this is her first convention. Just asked her, maybe possibility of spin off of Fear Street, and if she read the book, just a minute there. I'll put that up later, but
nice.
So it's like I said, a bunch of good intros. Well, I'll have popping up, of course. Already, you can see if you're on the Facebook group. Danielle Harris doing a little message for it, and
that's the only one I saw was the Danielle Harris one because I was laughing because I didn't turn the sound on. I was watching a closed caption.
You said, "What did you Morris had said on the closed caption.
Daniel Morris.
And then I forget what it said. It said something funny for Jason Mewes. He just said it's J Mewes. So I forget what the closed caption said it was for him, but it was funny. It's always funny how the closed captions will like mess them up and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, James said, I don't know how long ago. Sorry, probably ignore. They said that was fun. Tom was great. So,
Thank you, Doomsday.
Yeah.
He's probably out now, but
Yeah, he probably is. But
yeah, Tom was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just
we had nothing but great guests.
Yeah, I'm still bummed I couldn't go to the camp and have him been there doing the tour. But hey, this is the next best thing. At least he
Right.
got to come on, and we still got to talk to him. And yeah, it's absolutely a great time. So
yeah, this is like my version of convention. So it's like you really go out and go to one. I think the closest ones are in Chicago, and that's just too many tolls and too much effort to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I stress out way too bad in Chicago traffic.
Yeah, and
it's bad.
And I'm so mad. I brought my Scream Factory blob to get signed. Kevin Dillon canceled, and Paul Sorvino canceled. I'm like, I want him to sign Repo, or at least get a Repo autograph. But oh well, that's the way the cons are. We know how sometimes got those cancellations. So
yeah, we went down to Illinois, obviously, for Labor Day, because I was down there for our last show. Before we left, my stepson gave me this gift. I thought it was fitting that I got this right before the show. Obviously, is not from Jason 6, but
yeah,
it's kind of like a rip-off.
It almost looks like it has the Predators.
Right.
It's Predator Jason the Predator.
Right, yeah, obviously he's a rip-off Jason. They probably didn't have the license or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Extreme Head Knockers.
Okay.
But yeah, my stepson gave me that before we came back. I was like, this is perfect because we're going to have the director to number 6 on. So
exactly.
I showed him for a minute, but yeah, he's kind of a weird-looking Jason, but still.
It's funny. Yeah, I found this. I was sort of showing you earlier, but it's Jason shirt. There was an artist who did. I'll try to back up a little bit, but every single Jason from every movie, I was like, "That's perfect." From like the kid Jason there, Baghead all the way through Jason Lives. I was like, I had to pick that shirt up. It was only $25. I'm like, heck yeah. Sometimes they're like 35 or more sometimes.
Yeah, I know the one I got with Freddie and Jason. I got that at Walmart.
Yeah, I got that at Walmart too. I have that exact same shirt. Yeah. And actually, it wasn't that one.
Machete off and I can't get it back on.
No, I think
the cat. Don't play with that. I'm gonna put that over there.
Yeah, that would have been cool if he did. Freddy vs. Like he sort of had that idea and then Scream. Like I never knew that he turned down Scream. That's a crazy story. It could have been him doing all the screams instead of Wes Craven.
Right.
I wonder how they would have been. I mean, it's still good, but that's interesting to see how a twist of it might have been. And then saying that he only did that because he felt it was like too much of his style from Jason Lives, and then Kevin Williamson did it for that reason. So it's like it would have been perfect for him. Boy.
I uploaded, I know it was Daniel Emery Taylor's interview to Spotify, and there was somebody else. It was our Remakes podcast. I uploaded that to the Spotify. So if you look me up on Spotify, the Miss Boomstick on Spotify, you can listen to our past interviews or podcast or whatever I've uploaded onto there so far. I have a couple more that I've recorded. I just haven't had a chance to edit.
Okay.
We came back Monday from Illinois, and then a couple days later, I found out we had a death in our family. My son's family. Mm-hmm. So it's been a kind of weird week. So I haven't had time to get to the rest of them.
It's like, wow, vacation fund.
Yeah, exactly. So. Doomsday says, looks like your convention was fun.
Yeah, it was, definitely. I'll just show you real quick the Fear Street poster I got signed. It's pretty nice. Oh, I saw Robert Patrick too. We had stopped at Walmart and they had the NECA figure. So I was like, the T-1000, that's perfect. I'll get that signed. So I'm glad people haven't signed the plastic, but I just had them. Hold on, I don't know how it's reflecting or not, but I just had them sign the cardboard.
Yes, yeah.
So actually, I got a couple of Fear Street signatures here, but this was cool with all of them on it. Ruby Lane, Stalkers.
If Robert Patrick came on. He might be a little too highbrow for us, but
yeah, it's not gonna come. But yeah, I had tried to see if I could get an intro from him, and he couldn't do it. So yeah, they're too big there. And same thing, Michael Rooker couldn't do it either. So, but that's all right. I understand. Whatever, whatever their rules are and all that.
Right.
So, oh yeah, very cool indeed. And then. Lisa Zane, which I did get a little introduction from her, so I'll edit that together. But I got the picture from Freddy's Dead right there.
Nice.
Try to get it in here. Of course, they're a little less reflection maybe, but Jeremy London. And got him doing an intro too. He looks so different. Like you don't even recognize. I mean, obviously he's Asian, but he's got like a great beard. It's like, hey, I didn't even recognize him at first. Oh, and then this was just another one she gave me here. Ruby there. So, yep. So hopefully we'll get him on the show. That would be fun to have the Fear Street cast on. So
yeah, that would be.
So I'll just keep an eye on the House of Podcasts emails and see if any come in. And
do you have a special email just for that?
Yeah, if anyone wants to email, it's just the House of Horrors podcast at gmail.com. So, yeah.
Good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah. I thought I told you that, but maybe it just.
You may have. I have a horrible memory, so I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
So got let's see who else. I don't know how it'll be on the computer here, but let me go back. Oh, I gotta go to my photos to bring it up. But they were saying how they want to be introduced the jump rope girls from Nightmare on Elm Street. So they're like known as either jump rope girls or ghost girls. They've been known as like two different I guess labels you could say. They were nice.
Yeah, they don't do very many conventions, do they? I don't think they do anyway.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to meet them. God, I haven't been to a convention in years. It's probably been about, 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll see how the sound is on this. I'll be posting it soon anyway, but
Hey, what's up? I'm Jeff Anderson from Clerks, the House of Horror, Saturday, 7 p.m. The Horror Freak 85 on YouTube.
So anyone who's watching this actually getting a sneak peek of the intros.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see here. I think here's the Jump Rope Twins.
Hi, we're the Jump Rope Girls from the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Watch the House of Horrors Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And you can find it on the YouTube channel, The Horror Freak 85.
It's awesome.
Then we got oh yeah, Tom did one.
Tom Morgan. I played Jason in Friday the 13th Part 5 and Michael Myers and Halloween. Be sure to tune in to the House of Horrors Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Horror Freak 85 YouTube channel.
Nice.
Unfortunately, there was a lot of talking picked up on that one, but
Right.
well, even on the phone, once it's put on, you'll be able to hear it better also. But
yeah, it would be hard to get a really good clip from a convention, especially with so many people there.
so, but at least the Danielle Harris one was pretty decent, and Jason Mewes picked up pretty well. So
Yeah.
there was. I think that was the last one there. But, of course, Jason, he did his little J thing after. Like, he did a little bit more after. I thought he was just going to end it at what he did. And, of course, well, he always goes on. He's a, like, his character is his character in real life. He doesn't. Oh, it muted.
What up, this Jay Muse, and I'm saying tune into the House of Horror Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Horror Freak 85 on YouTube. Snooch of the news, motherfuckers. All you motherfuckers are gonna pay, because I am the one who is the one who is the clip commander. Snooch.
His voice sounds really gruff.
So yeah, there's the little sneak peek. Whoever's watching, and they'll be posted up later. But you saw it first here, not in the greatest quality, but
yeah, he could totally. Well, I don't know how proud he is of it, but he could have totally promoted the Feast movie.
yeah.
That's the only one I know I'm aware of he's been in.
There's a Wild Eye movie, The Last House. Something The Last House, and it's not like The Last House on the Left. It's got a really close title to it. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, he I guess his girlfriend gets kidnapped in there and everything, and so he ends up going there. And I won't spoil it, but yeah, that's actually one that he was in. And the kill scenes in it were crazy.
Wow.
Doomsday said, "Yeah, I swapped. Wait, Jason and Danielle one.
I think it means watch, maybe.
Oh yeah, probably just a typo there. Yeah. I watched Jason and Danielle one. Yeah, so
Awesome.
And yeah, I'm not gonna go back to it, but I got Jeremy London in there too, so that'll be posted up.
Nice.
Yes. So yeah. It was worth coming, definitely, for sure.
Right. And I'm slacking this week. I was going to make a video on Friday, but I didn't get around to it. It's just so much going on this week. Like I said, we just came back from Illinois, then found out about my son's family member passing away, and it's just it's been a wrecked week. So I didn't get to do the news. I might do one on Monday or something if I get around to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's been a strange week.
Yeah, we figured it was a typo. He just said, yeah, it's a typo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still tempted to go down to Phantasm for a day since I'm off Fridays and Saturdays in Orlando. So, but they canceled. I think Andrea Barbell was supposed to be there, and she canceled. You weren't going to do a week or so ago, right? Well, I don't know. I really want to. I'm debating. It's like
what? Then you turn it
I'm
off.
tempted to go. It might be a last minute decision, kind of like how this was. It just randomly, okay, 4 days prior, I'm going. So maybe, I don't know. I mean, I want to. I mean, like heck, if I could, I'd go to every single one if I could. I mean,
yeah, so expensive. Well, not like the cons themselves are usually not expensive. It's like you get there and you want all these cool things and want all these autographs and pictures. And
I did buy. I finally got. I started to say Dread Central, not Dread Central. The The Witching Season, the Volumes of Blood. You know that series, that company, and I have all their movies except The Witching Season. I finally got that, and then I got. No, I think that was the only thing I got there, besides the few autographs. And yeah, The Witching Season.
Yeah, I finally brought up, because I'd left all my old autographs.
Scream Team releasing. There we go. Durr.
I left all my old autographs in Illinois, so last trip we went down there, I brought them back with us in a box over there, so I should get them out one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's Orlando. It's 4 hours away. I could go. Phantasm has saw guest list for only second event. Okay. Actually, I should just email them too, see if they're doing any press passes. And maybe I'll do it that way too. Save a little. Do you know if they do
You
that?
know Doomsday? Have you met Doomsday at the cons?
No, not yet. So we've just talked on here and Facebook. That's it. So
I was just curious because I've seen that Doomsday went to you, and I know you go to a lot, so
yeah,
your paths may have crossed before.
not yet. No, probably soon though. Yeah, so I've been wanting to get this, and the guy who did Volumes of Blood was one of the ones Scream Team promoting it and everything, and was talking to him a bit about different ones. And let's see, I could check with the promoter. I'll talk to him in a bit. Okay, cool. So yeah, maybe they'll have. I'll be able to just do a little press thing there.
Nice.
That'd be cool. So all right, appreciate that. So well, yeah, definitely. If that's the case, then yeah, I'll go for sure.
Oh, I thought it was real funny. You know why I shared that thing about the news I did where the Chatterer is coming to the Dead by Daylight game? I tagged Nicholas in it, but Brian liked the post. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Who liked it? Or
Brian Brimmer?
oh, Bremer. Yeah, okay.
He liked the post. Like, I tagged Nicholas in it, but Brian liked the post. I thought that was, I don't know, that struck me probably more funny than it should have. But I thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah, I saw he went ahead and joined the Facebook group. So
Nice.
okay, send his link. Cool. All right.
Sweet.
So it's only the second Phantasm event that they're doing. So okay, so they're newer.
Since it's called Phantasm, is it just like the?
I think they spell it with. I don't know if
I
it's.
see it with an F in the in the chat, but I didn't know if it's from like the Phantasm films or it's just the way that what they call it.
I guess they decided to call it kind of like Phantasm, but they just didn't call it. I mean, that's what I'm
didn't
guessing.
know if it was like exclusive to that or if they like did other things as well. Is basically what I'm trying to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I lived somewhere closer to a lot of cons and I could probably go. I didn't know. Well, I don't know if I would count as a press pass, but
Well, I mean, if they have one there and they do offer, just check the email and go ahead and just email them and let them know, you're co-hosting this and we're all a part of it. And
yeah.
so, and I mean, they did give me 2 press passes, just for me alone. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, and if I guess maybe Justin might be coming back next week. I don't know, because I know he said he had some stuff to do the next weekends and then his anniversary, and I forget if it was this weekend or last. But so probably get him involved too with it, and we just apply through the email or whatever, and then they'll either.
Yeah, I haven't seen very much like going on like here in Wisconsin, unless it's Chicago's just too much trouble. I will not willingly go to Chicago. I'm sorry. I won't. I haven't even been to Wrigley. I as much as I would love to go to Wrigley Field, I haven't even been to Wrigley. As much of a Cub fan as I am, just because I hate Chicago so much.
Right. All right, thanks. I'll check it out after the show here and everything, and see what's up with that. So cool.
But yeah, probably like Milwaukee Milwaukee's all right. I've been there a couple times. As long as it's like on the outskirts. Madison, I don't think it's too bad. I haven't been there very much, but need to have something closer. Madison's closer to me, but I mean, hell, we got a convention center here, and I don't even know what the hell they use it for. I never see any like events.
Hey, let's tell him to get Tom Mcloughlin to come on over there. There you go.
I never see. I was like, I follow a lot of stuff like in town, and I've never seen. Well, they had like a comic book, some sort of comic book thing I think going on this weekend, but I think that's at a hotel and not the convention center. I don't know. It could be. I don't even know, but it's like nobody's there like signing anything. It's just a bunch of comic books being sold. We need to take over the convention centers.
Yeah. I was just checking because I shared the different Friday the 13th groups and everything I posted about Tom, and I don't know if he watched or not or planning on watching later or not, but Mike Oakley, he said that he would seriously like to see him involved in another Friday the 13th film. He knew how to add humor without belittling the film or its fans. So definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just looking here, a lot of the likes on the post, of course, so people are probably checking it out when they get a chance.
Right. Yeah, I shared it so I shared it on my Twitter and I tagged you in it. I just noticed that Space Out Ace had commented on my Twitter post. But I shared it to Twitter, I shared it to my Slasher page, and I shared it on Facebook, and then our like Facebook group, and then 2 other Facebook groups.
Yeah, I meant to get a chance, but Tom was running out. I didn't do my Instagram or Twitter, but I did it.
I forgot Instagram. It's like, if I remember Instagram, I don't remember Slasher. And if I remember Slasher, I don't remember to do Instagram. Yeah. You get one or the other.
Exactly.
You don't get both.
But prior to this, though, I knew, I figured I'd join a whole bunch of Friday the 13th face group pages. So I had 10 different groups that I had joined. And I figured, hello, Friday the 13th group, come on down.
Right.
So I'm sure people will be checking it out more later. So I mean, a lot of people were talking about it and commenting about it, just whether they were busy or not. So
yeah,
but I think
I'll be over and try to watch later.
Yeah, of course, it's always there.
Yeah.
So
never go away.
Nope.
Always here watching you.
Well, Toy Story, we know everything. We don't like being ripped apart. Understand? No.
Do we have a guest next week? I don't remember.
No, I think we unless I can maybe reach out to anyone, maybe we'll see if there's anybody.
We could think of something.
Yeah. So I'll just post it if we do. I'll see what's up with people.
Some sort of notification. So. My computer made a noise. Nothing popped up.
So, I mean, I know there's some people who want to join us, and a couple. Someone else I was talking to, another wild-eyed person. So we'll see once that becomes official, and so, and let's see, and then whoever. Well, we should talk to Ken Sagos again too, see when he's available. I don't know yet because, of course, he wanted to come back. So maybe I'll see what his schedule's like, and so. And of course, if we decide if anyone's available on certain days, we do our special shows, of course. So just all that information will be posted on the Facebook group page of who will be on when. So just if you haven't yet, join, keep an eye on it. And as always, it's open. You can also post your stuff as well. So check it out. And so yeah, I'm going to go and see what else is going on tonight, if any other parties or anything, and get something to eat, go down, wander the hotel. We'll see what's going on. I think there might have been some movies or something showing tonight. I don't know. I got to double check. So
go hunt down Hobbs. He's in Ohio somewhere.
Well, he didn't come to this one. So yeah, I think he's I don't know if he said he was a half hour away, hour away. I'm not sure how far he is.
I just know he's in that state. I have no clue.
Yeah. He would say, yeah, you can stay, but there's nowhere for you to stay. Yeah, I was joking around. So, yeah, I'm going to be taking the Greyhound bus back home 20 hours.
Oh, wow.
And apparently, I mean, I sort of understand it, but got to wear the mask the whole way. So that's going to be like 20 hours of wearing the mask. I don't know how people are going to follow that, like when the bus isn't working, I mean,
Right.
hopefully it'll be all right. But you know how people are going to be. I mean, they don't even want to wear it 10 minutes going grocery shopping. You think they're going to want to wear it 20 hours on the bus, and the bus, and even the bus station says anywhere bus station bus, it has to be worn. So we'll see how that flies. But
I know it was weird. Illinois is more stricter about it than up here. So everybody makes sure we'll wear it if it's. We've all had our shots, so we usually don't wear it unless it's mandated, to wear it. Then we'll put it on. It don't matter. But we don't fight and say, oh, we're not gonna wear it. But like in Illinois, if you go inside somewhere, you have to have it. But up here, it's only federal buildings, except for I think Madison. You have to wear it inside everywhere, but it just kind of depends on your region or whatever. But
and here, get this. This was crazy. Like my friend who was working the camera and everything for the guests, well, except when we went in room C. So he had made sure up to the day that like there was no mask because he can't wear a mask. He gets like like I guess some PTSD, whatever. He can't wear a mask on his face. And so he wanted to make sure he couldn't go to Texas Frightmare because of it, and some other place. He was bummed out because of that. But since there was a no mask here, and he made sure email. So then, just day of, all of a sudden, they just decided in room C, the main autograph room with Danielle Harris, Michael Rooker, and all them, you had to wear a mask to enter the room, required. And it wasn't, but the other vendors room where the other actors were, and of course, if they wanted to wear a mask, they would and everything. They're not telling you not to. But I mean, a majority of people probably were. I mean, a lot of people weren't. Some people were. I mean, I guess it's just what people feel comfortable with doing. Whether their choice, which is fine, whatever. But yeah, it didn't really make sense because it was our choice outside that room, and then only in that one room. Oh, you had to wear a mask. And then I mean, he was mad, of course.
Maybe it was one of the actors' stipulations or something. Maybe they were like high risk or something.
So, I mean,
just a guess.
And then also it was saying that it makes sense. The guy was reaching out the mask and he was just saying, oh, you touched my mask. How do I know you're not, like he tried to twist it, which is true though. I mean, he had a point and he was like, but he was mad because he had emailed, I mean, he wanted to make sure, and they had just started like, we got in early and everything, within the hour early since being pressed and all. And if we went in that room first, probably could have gone in without wearing the mask. So if it was 8 or one person, and then all of a sudden, boom, mask required. But yeah, whatever. I guess.
Right.
But all right. Well, I guess that's it then. I'm gonna go see what's going on. So thanks for everyone who's watching. If we do get a guest, I'll post it up. If not, come by.
Brainstorm themes.
Yeah, we'll have fun regardless.
I got a lot going on. I will try to brainstorm themes.
So yeah, we'll have fun regardless. So, all right.
We just might not have a theme and just chat the whole time.
Whatever.
The way this week is going, that's probably how it's going to be. But I will try.
Exactly.
Even though this week has been like super crazy, I still manage all these notes. So be glad.
All right. Have a good night. I'm going to go ahead and bye.